So, who are you?
So I'm a Lolly. I think I am who I am. I am a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm also a social worker. I was born in Venezuela 32 years ago, and I came to Australia almost 7 years ago. I guess what I represent is my community, my family, and where I work for as well. So because in my culture, work is not only going 9 to 5, we take work quite seriously, and we belong to where we work, and it's part of ourselves as well. That's why I've been working at MISA for the past 5 years, from my 7 years here in Australia.
And MISA is?
MISA is Multicultural Youth SA. So what we do is we support young migrants and refugees that just arrived in Australia. We support them in the settlement process, but we also help them with really at-risk situations or problems, to put it that way. So we can support young people even with really small things like finding a school or homework, to child protection, sexual abuse, child trafficking, you name it.
So I'm interested that in the name of your organisation you've got multicultural.
Yes.
What do you believe are the benefits of a multicultural society?
The benefits of a multicultural society is that you have the opportunity to be exposed to new ways of thinking, culture, languages, allowing yourself to learn new things every day. Because I guess when I was in Venezuela, although it's a multicultural society, we're mainly influenced by Italians and Africans, but that's it. Here in Australia, you have so many, just in my office, sometimes I've been in just a table and there's people from 6-7 different countries, 10 languages, and I guess that's amazing because it makes you realize how diverse we are and how diverse Australia is.
Was that a shock to you when you...
Yes, it was. It was a shock. I was not expecting that at all. When I came, you didn't have much information about Australia. Of course, technology and social media was not as advanced as it is today. So when I came here, that I saw people from different cultures with different outfits, speaking different languages. I was really impressed, and I was. I think I fell in love because that gave me the opportunity to be who I am, and nobody's gonna. And that's at the beginning. I decided to come to Australia before going to any other part of the world because I felt that in Australia was going to be more they were going to accept me more than if I went to, for example, America, where Latinos are there's so many Latinos down there that I felt, discrimination rates for Latinos back in America is huge. So here in Australia, I thought, it's so far away, that's not going to happen. There's not many Latinos down in Australia. And then when I came here, that actually people don't care when you talk and you don't understand and you ask them, so can you repeat it again? I don't get it. People is really patient and they're like, yeah, I meant this or I meant that, and they are just really, I'll say, open-minded instead of other parts of the world as well.
You made an interesting point there, going back to the who are you?
Yeah.
Do you identify as Latino?
Yes, I am.
What makes a Latino?
A Latino is if you are from could be South or Central America and you speak Spanish, and you have that. I guess what makes me a Latino? I guess because I come from Latin America, so speak Spanish, and we are really broad community, I'll say, all over the world.
Are you prouder to be a Latino or a Venezuelan?
Well, I'm proud of being both.
Yes.
I guess when I say I'm a Latino, it's broader, but I'm also really proud of being a Venezuelan. I'll always be gonna be a Venezuelan.
And excuse my ignorance.
Yeah.
Is Latino a word that you use in Spanish, or is it an expression that seemingly non-Latino people?
No, it's non-Latino people mainly. Yes. So if I met with somebody with another Latino, I will use myself as a Venezuelan because it's we don't say like I'm a Latino, but
Do you ever say we Latinos?
yes,
Oh.
yes, definitely.
So you came straight to Adelaide?
Yes.
So this has been your main point. So do you think that having had those experiences in Venezuela and now that you've come here, do we have here in Adelaide cultural harmony?
I guess in some way we do, but I believe there's many things to be done still.
What are some of the good things that you've seen in Adelaide, and what are some of the things that you've been disappointed about?
So the good things that I've seen is that, for example, you have festivals from people from all over the world. You have an African festival, you have a Greek festival, you have Greek restaurants from in Venezuela. I didn't ever try before coming to Australia Indian food. And Indian food here is like street food. We don't have Indian restaurants back in Venezuela. Back in Maracaibo, my hometown. So I was like, oh, what is butter chicken? Never tried butter chicken before. So and I love Indian food. I love, because I guess a good way for me to connect with cultures is through food and through people, languages. So for me, experience a culture is the food, how they make the food, what ingredients they use, and all the process around that. So I guess in ways Australia is really open for new opportunities for people that come from other parts of the world, and I love that. But you can see still sometimes behaviors that are really not as pleasant. I'll put it that way.
So I want you to name those behaviours.
Yes.
What are these behaviours?
For example, when I arrived here in Australia, I was in the bus here for like a month or so, and I just picked up the phone to call my husband, and then the man that was in front of me just looked at me and said hey, if you're not going to speak English, don't speak. And I said to him, well...
You were speaking Spanish with your husband?
Yes, over the phone. And I said to him, well, I'm really sorry, but I paid the bus ticket the same way you did. So I have my rights, and I speak in the language that I want to speak, because this is a free country. So...
Were you shocked?
I was really shocked. And I'm not going to put it shock. I was really upset or sad or disappointed. I'm like, how can somebody think that way? If you don't want to be exposed to people talking in a different language, just don't leave your house. You know what I mean? But if you're in a public space, you need to understand that those things will happen. So I guess it's around acceptance, and sometimes I feel that people some people is afraid of losing their own spaces, their own culture, their own Australian culture, and opportunities. For example, job opportunities. Some people think that, well, if migrant or refugees come, they're going to steal our jobs, but that's not right. If you work hard enough, you will still have your job, because that doesn't depend on your cultural background. It depends on your skills and your ability to work and your how professional you are.
Did you see that form of discrimination with a small d, with that form of discrimination when you lived in Venezuela?
Never. Mm-hmm. No. But I guess it's because I used to live a really privileged life when I lived back home.
Are you saying you're living a less than privileged life?
No, I say that when I came to Australia, I started from scratch.
Right.
So I came with $5,000 and 2 suitcases and didn't know anybody. When I lived home, I had a job, a career, I had everything. I have friends, family, and when I came here, I didn't have anything. So that's what I call a privileged life, because right. I knew everything. When I came here, in Venezuela, you have just one type of rice. When I went to the supermarket, you have jasmine rice, basmati rice, and I'm like, I remember calling my sister, which is the rice that I need to buy? I just want to eat rice. So I guess those things, but I didn't feel that way. And also I was raised, I guess I could, I didn't see it against me, I couldn't see it against others. But my family always taught me that was not acceptable. Right. So I was always an advocate for that not to happen. And so I guess experiencing that myself, like being me who experienced that, was really shocking and, you know, sad, because I'm like, how can somebody be that nasty or that mean?
So you said that you've been here 7 years?
Yes.
So have you noticed an improvement, a decline in that 7 years that you've been here?
No, I've noticed an improvement.
An improvement.
Yes, and I guess that is like communication and social media have a really positive impact on that acceptance, and that, well, we're all the same. So, for example, with gay marriage, for me, and I know I don't want to get political with this, but for me, that was some people ask me, so why did you vote yes or no? What did you do? And I said, like, well, I voted yes because I want my daughter to have as many options as she can. I moved to Australia to be free. And if in the future she wants to marry a woman, she's free to do it. So that is just a small step of accepting everybody. So that's why I'm really pro, because I'm pro of like accepting everybody, not like your skin color or the language you speak or how you look. No, we are all humans. It's who you are.
So let me push you then for a figure. So today in Adelaide, if we had a cultural harmony scale from 1 to 10, from your experience,
yeah,
where do we sit in Adelaide?
I'll say probably a 6.
A 6?
Yes, a 6.
But you said a 6.
A 6.
Is that a good 6?
I think it's a good 6. It's improving, an improving 6.
An improving 6?
Yes.
So you're saying that if I asked you the same question next year,
probably will be a 7 or a 6.5.
you'd hope to say a little bit more. Okay. So some of the words that are thrown around are assimilation,
Yeah.
integration.
Yeah.
First of all, are those words that you like, or do you think that there's a better word that we should be using if we are going to have a multicultural society?
So I don't like assimilation at all. Mm-hmm. I don't like that word at all. I think it's not a nice word.
What does it mean to you?
Is that we all need to be the same. Right. Is that we need to assimilate, like, well, you come to Australia, you need to become one of us, instead of like, we don't care about who are you, like you need to assimilate us. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't like that word. I will use more a word about integration and respect. I think we need to embrace the uniqueness of every individual. We need to, for me, respect and integration, but more, the most important word for me will be respect.
So it's like respect as a verb,
yes,
and as a noun,
yes,
as well, would actually be much better words to use than either assimilation or integration.
Integration is a good word. I would love that word as well.
Yeah.
But I guess respect, if we teach, like if we embrace it and have that flag in our families and communities, and tell people that is around us, look, that is, you know, don't say that, or that's not a nice word, and teach people more about it, for them to understand. And I guess I'll give a perfect example, like sometimes like in Venezuela, because we like it's not as diverse as here. Well, my dad the other day was making like comments about, you know, Muslims and how like attacks were occurring in America and blah blah blah, and then he went and tried to just like make it a whole, you know. It's like, well, all Middle Eastern people is like that, all Muslim people. And then I just sat with him and said, like, look, it's not like that. That's a minority. You need to understand that you have 4 children, and your 4 children live outside Venezuela, and we are minority. And if 2 or 3 or 10 or 20 do things that are not good enough, that doesn't mean that we are all like that. And then he was like, you're right, you know. And I guess for him that was such a learning experience, because he was able to understand that I am a minority here. Probably he's not back home, but I am here. And my sisters in Canada, they are a huge minority there as well. Thank God now, like yesterday I went on Rondell Mall and I listened for people speaking Spanish on my way when I was going back home, and I'm like, that didn't happen 7 years ago, you know what I mean? And I guess that's amazing. But it's also a little bit bad because you cannot talk that freely because somebody can be hearing you. But I guess my point here is that we need to embrace that and spread that knowledge to people that is around us, and also teach that to the younger generations. And I guess that's something that I'm gonna do with my daughter, that she needs to respect and she needs to accept people for how they are, instead of like just pointing them out or putting a label on them.
Is that another word that we could maybe get rid of? Minority?
Yes, it is. But I guess if I use it because for me it was the way for my father to understand, but it's completely right.
So, on the other side, apart from your story about buying rice in the supermarket,
Yes.
do you have a funny or an interesting story
Yes,
about when
I
you
do.
first came here, about assimilating in Australia?
So I remember once a friend invited me for tea in the afternoon. So she's like, well, bring a plate to, like, bring something to share. And I'm like, well, tea, we're gonna drink tea. So I just brought like packet of biscuits, you know? And then when I got there, it's like full on dinner. And I'm like, well, you said it was tea, not dinner. And she's like, oh, you know, but here in Australia, we say like tea when we're having like dinner and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, good to know. And there's so many more, but I cannot recall now. But at work, it's so funny because they love it. Every time that I put like a typo on my emails, it's like, it's just you, we love it. And it's like, Loli, that doesn't mean that, because the other one's like sport carnival. And I'm like, sport carnival? I'm like, why are you gonna wear costumes?
Yeah.
Throwing a ball or what?
Feathers.
Feathers. Yeah. And then my manager's like, no, Loli. It's like, she explained me what was it, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I always ensure I ask when I don't know something. But they've been amazing in letting me know when something is not the right word, or when I'm making a mistake or whatever.
So, I was trying to take you back to that bus experience, because you touched upon some things there that you talked about. You probably think that he spoke to you that way because he felt threatened as part of that bigger picture of you might take his job or whatever.
Yeah.
So really the reason why we're wanting to have these conversations is to open up what are some of those taboo subjects that you think people, we don't talk about them, and where do you think that fear comes from?
I guess also we haven't had the chance to promote multiculturalism well enough, and all the benefits that it has, and sometimes we get biased by what is on the news, or not good things that are happening. Or for example, you kept seeing how Melbourne and Adelaide, how they put like so horrible news about Aboriginal people, and also about African, and levels of how they do things that are not that good. But saying this, it's like it's not all of them, and we pay too much attention to the negative things, because for our brain it's easier to remember the negative instead of the positive. So if we focus on promoting what multicultural people have brought to Australia, I think will be amazing, because having the chance to live in a country that 1,000 languages are spoken, and you can find food from wherever you want, and I can go to Gaganis and buy the flour that I used to eat my arepas every morning. I think that's amazing, that I live 20,000 kilometers away from Venezuela, and I can still eat my arepas every morning. So I guess for me, that doesn't have, like, the value that has is just amazing. And
you're coming across as incredibly positive.
Yes.
And that you want to dwell on the positive. But what are we going to do? What are we going to do about the man on the bus?
So I guess what I want to say is, instead of planting more negative news or information or labels on multicultural people, focusing on the positive, because I guess what we see out there is all the things that are not so good about and I'll put it us, that's not the point. Instead of doing that, that's what Harmony Day is. It's a day of acceptance, of seeing what is out there, or seeing, how amazing multiculturalism is. Because at the end, nobody belongs here. This land is from the Aboriginal people, So even that, when that man if that man in the bus will say that to me, probably I will react in a different way, because I have more knowledge now. I've been working in my field for 5 years, and I'll say to him, well, you don't belong here either. So,
So our issue sometimes is that these kind of events like Harmony Day, the only people that will come along, or the only people that will celebrate, or the only people that will raise the awareness, are all the people who know about it anyway.
Yeah.
How do we get the man on the bus to participate in
pushing things like this out there, promoting it, sharing it, and make I wouldn't say normalizing, but don't allowing people, shaming that type of behavior. And I'll give you another example. At MISA, we do have a program called the Young Women of MISA, and we developed that program after having 2 young Muslim girls coming to me and saying that they were attacked in the bus as well. So a woman actually wanted to take off her hijab and say, you don't belong here, take that off, you're horrible. She showed me the video, and for me that was shocking. And I said to her, well, instead of going to the police and making a report, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to get all the girls in your community that have experienced something like that, and we're going to develop a program, a leadership program in which you can meet, and we can talk about issues like this. What can we do? And you can have fun, and we can give you skills to be successful here in Australia, and see the other Australians that are willing to accept you, that are willing to give you a chance and an opportunity. And then with these actions, we can show people, like the 2 bus incidents, that in the future, I see those type of behaviors are not going to be accepted, because sometimes it is really sad, but sometimes, well, that happened to her when she went to the police. The police is like, well, there's nothing we can do, and she felt so disempowered. But then coming to me now, she has a job, she has an amazing a program that she's running with more than 20 young women from all over the world, and she's going to be nominated for the Young Achievers Awards, and I hope she gets it, because it's a proof that things like that are going to come in our lives. But I believe that we need to be strong enough to just stand up for ourselves and say, this is not right, and I'm not going to tolerate, and that is not going to put me down, because that is what I advocate for.
So let's keep going. If there was, going back to your food analogy, give me one lolly secret ingredient to cultural harmony.
I'll say respect, acceptance, and understanding.
Now, we asked you to bring something with you that you thought was of personal cultural significance, whatever that meant. What have you brought? So
I have this little wristband, should I call it that way? So it's a little heart, and a Venezuelan artist made it, and also represents love and love for my daughter. So I guess it also represents that where it comes from. So I have one that is from Venezuela, and I have another one that is from Colombia as well, from one of my best friends. So she sent it probably a month ago from Bogota. So I guess
that one,
this one, and this is the one.
You've got 2 on.
I have 2, yes. And they are both red, and for me red is love, and also red in Venezuela, because of our horrible political situation, red is like a banned color, because it's the color of the government and blah blah blah. So it has caused a lot of Venezuelans to migrate to leave our country, but using red is my way of rebelling and say, I can wear red here, and this is.
So it's like reclaiming.
Yes, that, you know what, I don't care what you did, I still have my country in my heart. And I said, in my house is always Venezuela. So I speak Spanish to my daughter, and when she's trying to speak to me in English, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know what you're saying. and we eat our food, and because I guess for me that's my culture. It's so it's sacred for me. Like, it's something that I will try to preserve as long as I can.
Can I imagine a lolly in 20 years' time who won't be speaking Spanish at home?
Well, no, because I have a lot of friends that have been here for long, and people that is outside Venezuela, and they still speak Spanish. And my husband is from Venezuela as well. And the funny part is that when I get really close to somebody, I start speaking Spanish to them because I think they are family. So for me, Spanish.
Is that the Latino
yes,
thing?
yes, it's like, oh, you're too close to me. I've been with you a long time. Now you need to learn Spanish so you can be part of me.
Oh, you mean even if you're not Latino?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes, for example, that happened to a really good friend, and we worked together, and we became really good friends. And sometimes we're working in the office, and then I said to her, well, pick up the phone in Spanish. She's like, oh, I think you meant to pick up the phone. I'm like, yes, because I've been with you so long that I think you speak Spanish. So my brain is a little bit, like that. But I don't imagine myself in 20 years not speaking Spanish, because I guess it's something really important for me.
And so my last question to you is, do you belong in Australia?
Yes, I do belong. I call Australia my home now. So I do belong here. And although I'm a Venezuelan in my heart, sadly, well, I've been here 7 years, but sadly, for me, I don't see a home back there anymore.
Thank you so much for sharing.
And I guess, before we finish, I don't consider Venezuela my home anymore, because I don't see Venezuela as open-minded as Australia is. I think if I go back there, people is not going to be as open, as loving, as caring as Australians are.
But it doesn't stop you from being a proud Venezuelan.
Yes, definitely. A proud Latina as well.
Latina. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.